here it is from Mediaite. And they didn't create this chart, but interestingly, they curated this chart, which is going to be part of what I get to here. So Mediaite puts out this article about cable news shows and networks ranked for bias and accuracy. And it has a bunch on here. And the chart's a little confusing. So let me talk about it for a second. Okay, now the left-right makes sense, right? That's common sense. If you're farther on the left on this chart, then that means you're more left-wing. If you're farther on the right, then that means you're more right-wing. So at the far right, almost off the chart, they have Alex Jones over there. And then on the left side, they have me, and the only ones that are beyond a certain point on the left side are me, the Young Turks, and Revolutionary Blackout Network. But essentially, on this entire Mediaite chart, I am the only one without a TV show that isn't like a group of people. Maybe there's one other. But this is dozens of news organizations, and it's almost entirely corporate media. And then there's some that are not corporate media, like Young Turks or Revolutionary Blackout Network, but those are all groups of people. And then me. It's just me. It's like whoever wrote this article was like, you know what? I need to slam leecamp. I'm gonna have almost exclusively corporate news on here, and then just take a hit at leecamp for some reason. But just beyond that, it acts like many of our corporate news channels, network shows are center or are slightly right or slightly left. No, they're all right wing. If you are endorsing either the Democrats or the Republicans most of the time, then you are supporting the wars of American empire, which is right fucking wing. Okay? To support the endless death and destruction of millions around the world. 6 million people have died in the global war on terror. To support all of that is not left-wing. It's not for equality. It's not for justice. It's not for ending war. It's none of those things. So everything on this chart, with the exception of me and Revolutionary Blackout Network, is not left-wing at all. At all. In a time of bad actors, misinformation, and political class blurring the lines between statesmen and media figures, the question of who to trust has never been more important. So they've created this chart so you can know who's biased. And that's the other axis. So you got the left-right axis. Then you have at the bottom, if you're towards the bottom of this chart, which the bottom most on the left side is me. The bottom most on the right side is Alex Jones. If you are on the bottom side of this chart, you are less reliable down to basically not reliable at all. They have put me barely in the contains misleading info area, but solidly in the incomplete story, unfair persuasion, and propaganda area, as well as Revolutionary Blackout Network. Okay, now you want to hear all the ones that apparently are totally truthful and not reliable. And reliable. Totally truthful and reliable. Everything on CNN, everything on MSNBC, everything on Fox News, with the exception of Jesse Waters. Everything on NPR, CBS, NBC, ABC, all of that garbage, according to this chart, is solidly in the analysis. Let's see, is in the basically reliable area, reliable to more reliable. Some are in the more reliable area. Some are in the reliable area. Now, let me just begin by asking, if you're going to call me unreliable, what exactly have I been wrong on? What the fuck am I getting wrong? Please tell me. Please, because I can go down a list of what I've been right on that the mainstream media has been gloriously wrong on, such as WMD in Iraq, the Cuban acoustic ray gun bullshit, Syrian chemical weapons, where 4 whistleblowers at the OPCW have now come forward to say that that Assad did not use chemical weapons because why would he use the one thing that guarantees American invasion? So I was right on that. Mainstream media gloriously wrong. How about U.S. crimes against humanity, such as just straight up shooting innocent civilians, as we ultimately saw with the WikiLeaks videos that came out, the collateral death videos that was leaked by Chelsea Manning and revealed by WikiLeaks. Those type of things are things that I've been saying for a long time, that innocent people are gunned down and killed and bombed in our wars. And the mainstream media acts like that doesn't exist. But then you have WikiLeaks revealing it all to us. How about the war in Afghanistan being meaningless and aimless and fucking doing nothing for no one except for the U.S. empire to just have another footprint around the world? And ultimately, all of that, even though I said it throughout the war in Afghanistan, 20 fucking years, maybe I only said it for 19, but the Washington Post ultimately admitted that. The Washington Post ultimately did a large spread called the Afghanistan Papers, where they revealed that we were lied to by our government about Afghanistan throughout the years, that there was no success in Afghanistan, that nothing was going right in Afghanistan, that we weren't close to fixing Afghanistan, that we weren't helping Afghani people. Like, all of that came out and was even published in the Washington Post after whatever it was, 19 years of the Washington Post printing propaganda bullshit that you can go read it right now. Go read the Afghanistan Papers in the Washington Post. You can see the truth. So it turns out I was right about that for roughly 20 years, while the mainstream media was wrong about that for roughly 20 years. How many apologies do you get from them, huh? How about the attack on Libya by NATO and France and the United States? We said it was going to help the Libyan people. We said we were there to help. How much has it helped the Libyan people? How well are they doing? Has it just been great for them? Or was I fucking right all along? How about Russiagate? Let's talk about Russiagate, where I am so unreliable according to this chart, and the mainstream media is so reliable. Russiagate has fallen apart in every fucking regard. Hamilton 68, the Russian bot armies, the fact that it was a leak out of the DNC, not a hack. The fact that the Steele dossier was utter bullshit. The fact that ads on Facebook and the Internet Research Agency, none of it did anything. None of it changed the election. All of that I covered from day one, and I've been proven right on every last aspect of it. So how exactly am I unreliable or wrong most of the time? Whereas the mainstream media, many of them continue to act like it's a thing. It doesn't matter how fake it is, they'll keep talking about it. How about the Russian bounties story? Russia's paying Taliban bounties to shoot Americans because the Taliban really needed an extra reason to shoot American soldiers when they're at war with American soldiers in Afghanistan. Turns out I was right. Mainstream media was utterly wrong. How about the Chinese secret police stations that are across the United States and the UK? And I just read to you a couple of weeks ago that after extensive investigation, no one seems to actually be able to point to any Chinese secret police stations across the United States and the UK. So all of this collapses. Sorry, reading Secular Progressive is, thank you for the donation. I was on the March 2022 chart, and I was to the right of the Young Turks and MSNBC. You're saying they've since made me apparently more left wing, yet I was also listed as least reliable back then as well. So yeah, apparently getting everything right makes you unreliable. How about the fucking climate crisis that I've been right about for fucking 20 years? And the mainstream media, I know that if you watch Fox News or something, they'll act like the mainstream media has been going on and on about climate crisis forever. They fucking haven't. If you actually look at the numbers, go look at Fairness and Accuracy Reporting. They've gone through the numbers of how often our mainstream media actually covers climate crisis. I'm not talking about one CNN article here and one there. I'm talking about repeatedly covering it. It's a tiny, tiny amount. In fact, 2 years ago, Meet the Press mentioned climate crisis or climate change or global warming twice in the entire year. And one of them was Bernie Sanders mentioning it as he was speaking as a guest. So that shouldn't even really count. So Meet the Press is one of the most watched NBC shows, and yet never talking about climate crisis until there's been some uptick the past couple of years because we're in a fucking climate crisis. So yet again, I've been right all along, and they're starting to come around to my position on that as well a little bit. How about the war on drugs, which I've been proven right is an attack on our own people, is destroying our own people's lives, our own citizens' lives, left and right. Much of that has changed, right? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, weed wasn't legal anywhere. I was saying it should be. Oh, here we are. Oh, with most of it becoming, legal. Even HHS, I just covered it on the last show, said that weed should be made a Schedule 3 drug as opposed to a Schedule 1 drug, the least illegal level. That's even HHS, federal government agency. So I was right about the war on drugs as well. And then you get into smaller things that I've been right about all along as well, like aspartame, equal sweetener. Now, even the WHO says that it can cause seizures and other issues, including cancer. I did reports on that way back. How about glyphosate and Monsanto? Glyphosate now considered cancer causing by all the major health organizations, and Monsanto their brand is now mud. And I talked about that for fucking 15 years. And where was the mainstream media? Nowhere to be seen, because they need to do everything that licks the shoes of corporate America. Well, corporate America is the cause of a great deal of the harm that is done to us, the harm that's done to our world. So if you can't criticize corporate America, which, like I said, that chart that they're showing there's mainly corporate media, almost entirely. If you can't criticize corporate America, essentially, then you can't criticize fucking 70% of the problem. How about the trillions of dollars in the CARES Act that was dumped onto Wall Street and went to just the rich, just dumped into the pockets of the rich? I was talking about that from essentially the moment the CARES Act existed. And now you have some in the mainstream media going, oh, a lot of money was given to Wall Street during the pandemic. Oh, really? You just noticed?